So we are saying that when it comes to the issue to deal with interests, there are few terminologies we need to familiarize ourselves with. So one of the terminologies which we'll be dealing much with is the issue to deal with principal amount. So one of the terminologies is the principal. So we are saying that a principal amount, this is an amount which you decide or you put across towards either a savings or an investment. I think I'm getting feedback. You can just unmute when you have issues, then you can unmute yourself so that we move in that direction. Okay, thank you. So we are saying that principal amount, let's say for example, today, let me admit someone, like others are still joining in. I apologize. Let me just admit this someone. Okay. 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 Someone has been admitted. So we are saying that in a principal amount, when you decide today to put across an amount in a bank, let's say a savings, so that money which you take to the bank to open up a fixed deposit amount is called the principal amount. So by virtue of you being the principal, that amount is actually called a principal amount. I've admitted this one. So then the other terminology which we need to familiarize ourselves is the accrued amount. Accrued amount. So what is an accrued amount? So we are therefore saying that an accrued amount, this is an amount that is accrued or added at the end of your savings. So say for example, today you decide to go and put a 2,000 in a fixed deposit account or in a savings account that runs for a period of 2 years. The interest that will be accrued or the interest that will be added to that money at the end of that year becomes what we are calling as an accrued amount. Then the other terminology which we need to familiarize ourselves with is the interest rate. The interest rate. The interest rate also denoted by letter N, and the accrued amount also denoted by letter A, and we are saying the principal amount also denoted by letter P. So we are saying an interest rate. This is the rate at which the money which is added to your savings, or in other terms, we are saying this is the gains that your savings accrue in a specified period of time. Then the other factor which will be considered in when it comes to the issue to deal with interests is time factor. So when it comes to time factor, we'll be considering the number of years. Or n. So say now, for example, we also have another thing which will be considering. So let me just admit someone again. There's someone who wants to admit it. Okay, I think I've admitted this one. It's now in the meet. Okay, so basically these are some of the terminologies which will be actually considering when we deal with the issue to deal with interest. So let's get to business. So what is an interest? So an interest, we are saying this is actually either on a loan or on a savings or on a fixed deposit, the money which you gain as a result of time. So the issue to do with interest also brings in the topic to deal with annuities. An annuity, this is a topic I will cover laterwards, but it is important that we get some nitty-gritties of it. So when we say an annuity, we are saying this is a constant payment which is made towards a certain period of time. So for example, when you decide to open a fixed deposit at a bank, the payments you say you'll be bringing, let's say at 5,000 every after 3 months, that payment which you'll be making to that investment or to that account becomes an annuity. However, the issue to deal with annuities is more similar also with the subject to deal with interests. So when it comes to interest, we have two types of interest which we'll be considering. The first type of interest is called simple interest. Then the other type of interest is called compounded interest. Compounded interest. So when we say simple interest, say for example, you as a principal owner, you have a 2,000 at disposal. So we say you as a principal owner, denoted by letter P, you have a 2,000 which you decide to go and put in a savings account. And the banker tells you that this money will be gaining interest and will be accrued through simple interest. So let's say there is that 2,000 which you have and you have decided to put across, and you say you want this money to be saved for a period of 3 years. Then the banker tells you that this money will be compounded will be accumulating an interest of 10%. So we say interest of 10%. So under compounding interest, we'll therefore say, let me just draw something for you to understand. So we'll say in year one, let's say here we have year, then let's say we have amount, which is your principal amount. Then let's say you have an accrued amount. Let's say accrued. So let's say in year one, under simple interest, the principal amount is 2,000. And let's say the interest, is at 10%. So interest is at 10%. Then far end we shall put accrued, just an abbreviation. Okay. So here we are saying we have a 2,000 which we are putting across in a savings. So and we are told money.
Sir.
Yes, please.
So just answer yes or no.
Yes.
Simple interest is one of the types of interest. Eh?
Yes, simple interest.
Or it's a terminology.
Yes.
Simple interest and the compound interest. These are two types of interest.
Yes. So we are going into it.
Right.
You by the end of the lecture, you understand these two differences.
Okay.
So we are saying that this money is accruing a simple interest of 10% annually. So what? Let's say 2,000 multiplied by 10%. So we shall say multiply by 10%. So the 10% of 2,000 is what? Is a 200. So you say the 10%. Here we shall put the 10%. So the 10% we can just rewrite this one as z. We divide by 100 to be 0.1. So we say 2,000 multiplied by 0.1. So we have our accrued amount as 200, say as the interest accrued to this money. Then we'll say plus the principal amount. Then we are saying that the principal amount is 2,000. Then what we have at the end of the year will now become as 2,200 as the total accrued amount. So in a simple, when we are
the right, you are ahead in talking, the writing has stopped. It's very much slow.
Okay, let me just check. But the 2,200 is showing. What is showing on your?
Yes, I see.
It's showing. Okay, thank you so much. So we are saying it's showing.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Take a long time to show up.
Okay, thank you so much for that feedback. So we say that you who is the of that principal amount of 2,000 which you have taken to a savings, and you have said that that money is going to be in a savings account, 2,000, for 3 years. So the bank has told you that your money will be accumulating in simple interest. So in the second year, the principal amount which will be brought forward to the second financial year will be the same 2,000 as principal amount. Then at the end of that second year, this 2,000 again will be computed with an interest of 10%. So will be computed with an interest of 10%, which is 0.1 when you divide it by 100. Then you have the accrue on interest as 200. Then when you add this 200 plus the amount brought forward, which is 2,200, your total accrue will now become 2,400. Then, since this is simple interest, the same principal amount which you had put in at the beginning of that savings will be again computed with an interest at an interest of 10% rate, which is 0.1. Then the accrue in that financial will be 200 as the 10% of 2,000 at the end of the year. Then you add the accrued which was brought forward, which is 2,400. Then your total accrual becomes 2,600. So when it comes to simple interest, we are saying that now that the accrued the profit or the interest is added to the principal at the end of that fiscal year or at the end of that year. Now let's do a comparison with compounding interest. Compounding interest. So from simple interest, we are saying that the interest in every year remains the same, and the interest, the principal amount in every year remains the same, and the interest is only added to the principal amount at that end of that fiscal year. In other terms, we are saying every year which is coming, as you can see from top here, the accrued amount is not added back to the principal amount here. So that is how simple interest normally tends to operate. Now, when we are in compounding interest, it's a different ball game altogether. In compounding interest, we are saying that the principal amount, so say the same 2,000 which you decide to go and you're the principal owner denoted by letter P, you go to your bank and talk to your banker and you say you'll be saving this money and the banker tells you that this money will be compounding interest annually. So, and the interest the banker tells you, say, is the same 10%. Then the banker tells you that the time factor or time period for this savings will run for 3 consecutive years. Then you now want to calculate the total amount you have at the end of your saving period using compounding interest. So we shall therefore say, let me write here. So we say in year 1, say year 1, then here we put principal amount. So the principal is 2,000. Then we are saying now that the interest is 10%, compounding interest. Then we have accrued amount. Okay. So when we are dealing with compounding interest, so you, who is the principal owner of that 2,000, which you have put in a savings, and you are told that this 2,000 will accrue an interest of 10% at the end of every year. So the 10% of 2,000, so say 10% divided by 100 becomes 0.1. So say 0.1 multiplied by 2,000, it will give you 200. Then the total 200 plus your principal, which is 2 plus 2,000. Then your total accrued will become 2,200. Okay. Then say in year 2, this money, the principal now, which will be brought forward to year 2, will be the accrued amount in year 1. So now the principal amount has compounded. So the principal becomes now 2,200. So then we shall say that 10% of 2,200 is 10% of 2,200 is 220. Then we add that 220 to the principal amount which was brought forward in that year, which is 220. Then the total amount accrued, total now becomes 2,420. Then in year 3, the total accrued becomes the total, the new principal, which is 2,420 as your compounded money. Then we say the 10% of this principal, which is 0.1 when you divide by 100, So you say 2,420 multiplied by 0.1, it becomes as 2 what? 242. Then you add your principal amount brought forward in that year, which is 2,200, equals, so you get your calculator, then you add 2,420 plus 242. So the total accrued will now therefore becomes as 2,662. So this is now the difference between compounding interest and simple interest. Okay, so this evening we'll focus much on simple interest. So our focus today is on simple interest. I just wanted to show you the difference between the two. So now we are saying that when we are dealing with simple interest, there are three factors which normally comes into play. So the first factor we said is the money which you bring forth, which is the principal amount. So we say the principal amount denoted by letter P, like I said earlier. Then we have the interest rate or rate of interest. So the rate of interest is denoted by letter I, and in other books it's also denoted by letter R.
Sorry, sir. I'm a bit behind.
Yes, please.
Simple interest.
Yes.
Those two, on simple interest. Those two principal amount and rate of interest are what under simple interest.
Come again.
Saying I'm a bit behind in your explanation on a simple interest.
Okay, so in simple terms, this was the compounding interest. So in simple terms, in compounding interest, the accrued amount is added back to the principal amount. That's why, let me put a pointer. That's why you can see the principal amount every year is becoming compounded. Your money is growing.
No. They I'm okay.
Yes.
I'm okay. I was just asking under simple interest.
Yes.
The two you have started explaining, principal amount and the rate of interest. Are what under simple interest? That's my question.
Okay.
The expression between compounding, I'm clear.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so we are simply saying that when we are dealing with simple interest, we know for the fact that the general principle is that in simple interest, the accrued amount is not added back to the principal amount. So for us to be able to calculate the simple interest, there are three or four factors which comes into play. So the first factor we are saying is the principal amount. So the principal amount, we are saying this is the amount which you, who's the principal owner, takes to the bank for a savings, or if you are getting a loan, the money which you are given to the banker, that is the principal amount. Then let's put it in a term where you are getting a loan. So when you get a loan and your banker tells you that that loan will be accruing an interest of simple interest of a certain percentage. So meaning there is no money added back to the principal amount. But when it comes to loan payment, we'll deal with that under amortization. In loan payments, we normally consider compounding interest. The reason is simple. Money has got what we call value. And every time that passes by, money tends to lose value. And that is a topic we will deal with as we progress. So, the rate of interest, we are saying that this is the rate at which this interest is added to amount, which is the principal amount. So we are saying that in other books, this rate of interest is denoted as letter I, and in other books it is denoted as the letter R. It is the same interest rate. So when you find an R or you find an I, it should not confuse you. Then we are saying that when you have put money into a savings, the other factor you shall consider is time. So time is of importance. So we say time in terms of number of years, or we can say in terms of period. So here we say number of years. So I don't know if it's my network which is become slow. Okay, so denoted by letter N. So then therefore our general formula becomes as I is equal to P, which is the principal amount, multiplied by the rate, R, multiplied by the rate, then multiplied by time. So I is the simple interest, P is the principal, R is the rate of interest, then T is time factor in terms of years. So let us consider one important example which now will help us to put into practice this formula. So we shall consider this example here. No, it's not coming out. We copied the right example. Okay, just a moment. Just trying to capture an example. Okay. Okay. It's now here. So it's taking time. Okay, let me read for you. I think I'd screenshot it in okay, there we go. So we are taught that okay, okay, it's quite slow. Okay, 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 so let me read for you now. So we are taught that a 12,000 is invested at a 12.5% simple interest. How much will have accrued after 3 years? So we are now looking for the money which would be accrued after a period of 3 years. So we'll say okay, so we'll say data. Okay, let me try to open a new account. This one is quite slow. Okay, so we shall say data. When we get our data, we have our principal amount. So you can be writing, as I'm trying to fix my end here. So you can say your principal amount P as 1,200. Then you have, I think it's open, it's taking time. Then you have a simple interest R, which is 12.5. Then the number of years we are told is to be accrued after 3 years. Hello, let me get some feedback. Like my internet is slow. Are we still in class?
Very much, very much, very much, very much, very much.
Okay, seems my internet connectivity has become quite slow. Okay, I think now it's now responding. Okay, so I don't know if you have written on your end. So I was saying that the P we have been given is what is our P from the question?
1,200.
Okay, so our P is 1,100. So give me the data. Then we are saying what is our R, which is our interest.
12.5.
Okay, so we are saying our interest is 12.5%. So we can convert this one. So we say 12.5 over 100. What are we getting? What are we?
0.125.
Okay. Then what other things have we been given in the question? So we have been given to say
The time which is period.
yes, the time factor to accrue is the TON. So the time factor is the 3 years. Are we okay? Then we are saying,
Yes.
okay, thank you so much. Then we are saying that invested amount, we are told to, what are we looking for? The total accrued at the end of the year, isn't it? How much will be accrued at the end of the year? Okay, so money accrued at the end of the year, we'll say is equal to PRT. So you know our principal. Our principal is 1,200. Then multiply by the rate, which is 0.125. Yes, 125. Then our time factor is 3. What are you getting?
450.
450. $450,000. Which are we getting a 450? What others? What are we getting?
It's just a 450. Not 1,000, just 450.
Just 450.
Oh, 450. You remove a 0.
Yes, sir, just a 450 then.
Okay. So we are saying we are getting a 450 as our accrued amount. So therefore, let me do also again. I don't know how we are getting a sorry, it's 12,000. The question is saying 12,000. Yes. No, 1,200. Yeah? You have the question as well. It's 1,200, not 12. So 1,200 multiplied by 0.125 multiplied by 3. So we are getting a 450. So this now become our accrued amount. See, at the end of the year. So this becomes our accrued amount. So the question now told us to calculate the total accrued amount. So this will be the money which will be accrued after 3 years. So let's consider another example. What's the time?